open up the second part of our show with the comments made by Ntate Teralikota, and speaking up against the violence and that is caused against the farming community. And this was at least about 7 months ago or so. And then, Lord behold, a few months down the line, the Afrikaner community, who are mostly farmers, hit the streets and say, genoeg is genoeg. And they hit the streets, and of course there were a whole lot of flags that were brandished in the area, and people were saying all sorts of things and placards. And we looked at social media, and social media had so much to say, and of course, which then begs this question that says, why do we hate each other so much? And my guests are trying to help me make sense of this conversation. And let's start with you, Marty. And you've obviously both of you wanted to talk about this issue. And then knowing some of the people that follow me on Twitter, on Facebook, I thought, okay, great, we'll have this conversation. Is it a comfortable conversation? I know you're Afrikaans, right? Are you Afrikaans as well?
Yes, yes.
And we're talking about this issue, and here were the farmers who are, on Monday marching onto the streets. Was it a difficult, discussion for you to think about, to want to come on here to talk about it?
Yes, personally it was, but somebody has to say something. I've had threats. I've had threats from whites and I had threats from blacks. I found both of them scary, and both of them obviously don't want us to air the views of people as far as that subject is concerned. I think that it is time that we talk openly and honestly to our people and try and help us to heal the nation. I think this really stems from many, many years ago. We've always been at loggerheads, and nobody really know where and how it started. My personal opinion, for what it's worth, is it started many, many years ago, like the Van Riebeeck days. And today I asked a few people to find out, what do you think is the problem between black and white people in South Africa? There's a taxi guy, his name is Brian, and he said to me, we are not honest with each other. We pretend to like each other, when in actual fact we don't. We pretend that we are not racist, when in actual fact we are. We tentatively reach out to each other a hand, but we are shy. We don't know if it's going to be smacked away. He's got a very strong point. I had my nails done today, and the lady, her name is Debbie, is about 50 years old, a delightful lady. And she said to me in Afrikaans, she said to me, we didn't have these things in the older, when we were young. She said, because the hatred wasn't so bad. Yes, there were things that were wrong, but most of the things was right. We understood each other and we played with each other. We grew up together on the farms, and that is fact. I grew up on a farm as well, and I don't have brothers or sisters, and those are the kids who I played with, because I was the only child. We played in the rivers, we played clay lot, and we murdered each other, and we laughed, and we got hidings together for being naughty, and we had very healthy relationships. And there was no rapes, and there was no stealing and criminal. If a crime was committed, it was once a year, and it was front page news. Today it's rife. So that is the one thing that she says. And she said that, look at all of us, we're all talking, we're all hugging each other goodbye, see you in 2 weeks' time, and not one I live close to Cresta. And I'm very well known because, as you know, I've been on TV 14 times, excluding repeats. So I know everybody, and I've got that kind of open personality. I say hello to everybody. And I don't see any hatred between the normal people. Everybody, and I've had 18,760 people that I've coached already. That is a lot of people. And those people, each and every one of them, the only thing they want is happiness, a home, a job, a car, a little bit of money for going around, a little bit of money for holiday, and education for their children. That's all everybody wants. And this is what Debbie had said as well today. Another lady sat in front. She's a white girl. She said, my best friend is a black girl, and we get on very well. We don't look at races. We go pub crawling, we go dancing, we are happy. We don't know. In our age group of 25 to 35, we don't have the hatred. The only hatred that we see is if the politicians stand on the podiums screaming war and screaming about the whites this and the blacks this, because both the whites and the blacks are guilty of this. Then I've spoken to someone in a bank manager. His name is David, and he said, I have clients across the board. He said, and nobody look at me as if I am lower than them or uneducated, as some people say. This is what the problem is. White look at black people as if they are lower and uneducated. He said, I don't have that. I don't know where this comes from. I spoke to a Zimbabwean man. His name is Justin. And he said to me that I don't know where this comes from. He said, in my country, deep in the bush, some of the kids there has never even seen a white person. He said, so when I came to South Africa, I found all this hatred. He said, I hear everybody talks about Zimbabwe, and yes, a lot of things has happened. He said, but we have very strict laws. He said, and we cannot plunder and steal and carry on. Whether they do it here or whether they don't do it here, it's not for me to say. But what he said is that South Africa is worse than Zimbabwe as far as hatred is concerned.
Wow.
That is terrible. I then had a Facebook message passed on to me of a white man that was swearing, calling somebody a retard and a kafir and all those horrible words, which is completely uncalled for. I actually agree with this law that if you call somebody a kafir, fine him 300,000 rand. If you call somebody a bloody boer and you use a derogatory name, I don't care who you are, fine him 300,000 rand. From both sides. The problem is that if white people do something today, everybody run with racism. But if black people do something today, they don't bring the racist card up. So that is a contention, that is the argument between the two groups. And that is fueling hate. Okay? Then I spoke to another guy, and what he said was very interesting. He said that we keep on belittling each other on both sides. He said, I see people from both sides. He is a waiter, his name is Adrian. And he said that every time I deal with people, even people in my church, people where I live, he said, I don't find hatred there. The only hatred we ever hear is on TV and the radio from the politicians. The swearing between people has got to stop. Then I had the other Facebook message that was passed on to me about a lady who told us white people in detail how she would like us to be killed, strung up, disemboweled, raped, and really in graphic detail, disgustingly. And that comes from a lady, a woman that's normally a nurturer. You cannot I cannot fathom that a woman can say such graphic things. And yes, I think the hatred is rife. But somebody, something, some organization is stirring the people up. Because if you look at the children at school, they're playing together. You're not born a racist. They're playing together.
I want to come in here and just say this thing of children playing together. This isn't now the last 10 years. It's not since the elections. It's not from the time that Nelson Mandela became president. This comes back to hundreds of years ago. Children of all races, of all ages, have always played together. There's never been that hate. Children play.
Yes.
Whether they're white, whether they're black, whether they're Indian, whether they're Chinese, whatever they are, they play together, and they have always.
Now, I mean, Andre, just to also bring you on some more here, why then, where does the hatred come from? Nobody's born a racist or having hatred, but somehow kids then grow up and become adults, and these adults are fueled with racism and hate. Where does that come from?
I don't know.
This is the thing, none of us really know, but I think that the parents are bringing the old belief systems to the table, and they force it down the children's throats. I've seen a very good friend of mine who is very wealthy, and the moment her child, who's 9 years old, her friend something, she said, no, you must remember your place, you are better than him. And she's talking about people of the same color. So there is a class distinction, race distinction happening as well. Like I said before, let's go back to the Jan van Riebeeck days, where I don't say that's where it started, but it is something to think about. Is those people that the Huguenots and the people that came here from, the Dutch people, they didn't own land at all. The Cape, however they got the land, nobody really knows. And we're not going into history here. We're just surmising where the problem may have started. They worked for the Compagnie, which was the Dutch government, and they came here from the ships with packets of seeds, and all they had to do was plant the gardens and supply the boats. And then later on they wanted their own land, just like people want their own land now, a similar thing. And that is where the Voortrekkers started, because they tried to move away from the Dutch government.
And I mean, is there a case? I mean, a whole lot of black people who are watching right now, all we ever see is what has been said about the Afrikaner community. Is the AfriForum, leading this racial divide, scaring Afrikaans community?
I think let's get past this thing of what group I belong to. I think let's get past this thing of what organization I'm a member of, and let's meet around the table where we work, where we play, where we go to school. Let's get to know one another as people, as individuals. And in that way we can be friends, and we can look past the skin color, we can look past ideologies, we can look past whether I'm a member of the EFF or the ANC or AfriForum. That doesn't dictate, my skin color doesn't dictate who I am. By getting to know one another, we can look past that nonsense.
Alright, just looking at some of the comments on Facebook, Tabo Sholemashao says, the history as explained is convenient and microwaved. And then he goes on to say, your guest misrepresents the truth of history. And so those are his comments. And while we're waiting to open up more voice notes to hear what people have to say. I mean, Marty, how do you respond to that? I mean, they're watching right now and they don't believe what you are saying.
As I said, I'm not a historian. I said that very plainly. I said that's my point of view. I said I stand to be corrected. All I'm trying to do is to try and find an explanation of where the hatred comes from. I don't condone criminality acts. I don't condone raping people, killing people from any walk of life, whether you're black, or whether you're white, or whether you're yellow, or whether you're brown. I think what this reader is saying is still playing ping pong trying to find fault with what I'm saying, instead of phoning you and saying, I am prepared to come and talk and see if I can help the nation, heal the nation. So let your reader who's listening right now, and others like him, whatever color he is or she is, offer. Let them show us what their solution is, because I think that would be wonderful if we can find people that is prepared to find solutions to this horrible hatred.
Absolutely. All right, I was going to take a break, but the voice notes, the level of voice notes that are coming through in Tabo Shalom Ashao, send us a voice note. Tell us what you think on my number, you've got it, and tell us what you think, and then we'll play it for you. And of course, you have been challenged, my brother. If she's distorting the truth, as you say, then come and help us make sense of the truth. And I don't know, sometimes about history, man, I think so many people just make up their own minds. But you know, it is what it is. Okay, let's hear what the people on the ground have to say, and let's take a listen.
What I think about Black Monday, I just feel like white people are disrespecting us as black people and as the South African government, democratic government. We made peace with them during the apartheid era after 1994, in which black people suffered through the hands of white people and died during the apartheid era. Okay, right now, white people are complaining about black people killing them on their farms. It's not right.
I'd like to say that Black Monday, in my understanding, has nothing to do with, has everything to do with mourning death. Funerals. The color of mourning, the color of funerals is black. And in my understanding, Black Monday relates to death, to killing, and trying to put a stop to that. In hindsight, hearing our callers' discussion, I can hear that it brings up a whole history of other feelings and other emotions to the listener. But traditionally, black is the color of mourning, of death, and as far as I understand, that is what Black Monday relates to.
Marty also wanted to take a bite at this, the caller that sent through a very interesting comment.
Yes, I think that he said it very well, and he had very interesting comments. And so I agree with you. When I saw the old flag, I was also upset, because it was not a congregation of certain political parties. It was a congregation to commemorate and to think of people who've been killed on the farmers that's producing our food. That was a mourning. People, all those people were peaceful. They were all on their knees and they were praying. They weren't praying against black people, they were praying against the farm murders. However, I agree with him, and that is what I forgot. One guy said to me that white people do not respect black people. Yes, I agree with him. I have heard some people, and so if you'd listened carefully, you would have heard that I was being threatened. I'm being called names because I'm sitting here, because I've got the guts to speak out and want to try and help our nation, heal our nation. I've been called terrible names, like I'm a kafirbuti, that horrible name. I've been called a black man, that is from white people, we're coming for you. I've been called by black men that they want to come and show me what a nice big black cock they have, and they want to rape me till I can listen. How do you think we as white people feel there? So yes, you got my blood up a little bit. Those people on Black Monday, they were all peaceful. You will get one or two people in any walk of life that will say negative things, that will do negative things, that will try and get attention. Just like when there's so-called peaceful protesting and people loot and plunder. You can't say that that party that's then protesting is as doing anything wrong. It is a criminality that comes in. And yes, I am not political at all. I don't wish to be. But I feel that there's too many murders in our country. Whether the murders happen on a farm or in town, or whether it is rapes or plundering, whatever it is, we need it to be stopped. And anybody out there, and there are a lot of people that can do this better than you and I, if they would please take our hand and come up here and talk on the air and tell the people that we are open to discussion, tell us what we can do to heal our nation. I am not here representing white people. I happen to be a friend of Sipho. That is why I'm here, so that the three of us, Jan, Sipho and I, have this discussion, which is very brave of all three of us.
Absolutely.
To try and reach the nation and say, guys, whatever your gripe is, whether it's disrespect, whether it's racism, and yes, I've heard many white people that are very racist. And I have heard many white people that are so willing to make things work. I have heard some black people who are very racist. And I have heard some black people who really want to make it work. The normal man in the street want, as I said, a home, a job, a car, money for education, and just a normal life, whether you're pink, black or purple or whatever. So everybody that's listening to us, we are begging you, we are calling you, come up and come and talk over the air. If you want to bring positive feedback, tell us where we are going wrong, whether we are black or white. Tell us so that we can try and correct it. I personally, or Jan, or Sipho, does not have any high connections to do or make any changes. We are just simple working people that is trying to be the first people to talk out honestly, openly, to try and help us heal this beautiful land of ours. Because I believe we can live together in peace and harmony. All of us in Johannesburg, or wherever you are, in the Cape, in Durban, we have black neighbors, we have white neighbors, we have Indian neighbors, and we live in peace, in harmony. Why do we have politicians that are screaming insults and that is threatening us? Whether the politicians are white threatening the black people, or whether the politicians are black threatening the white people.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, so there are so many comments trickling right through. People want to say what is on their minds, but for now, I want to focus on the voice notes, and I will look at your comments on Facebook a little bit later, just before the end of our show. So let's take a listen and hear what the caller here had to say.
Hi, I'm Tuli. I just wanted to find out if one wants to be a spiritual leader, do I have to do certain things or go to a certain school, or being a spiritual leader is something that one is born with? What's the process behind it? Thank you.
Okay, so this one relates to our first conversation.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to cover it
Yes.
since
Yes,
you've
I
asked.
can.
Okay.
Okay. We can teach you to read cards. We can teach you to put herbs together. But we cannot teach you to be psychic. We cannot teach you to have the gift. You either got a gift or you haven't got a gift. If people just go and buy cards or bones or whatever they want to use and read the law book and then think they're going to make money by doing readings for people, they are sadly mistaken. We need to have much more than that. You need to have the know-how, you need to have that natural gift, and you need to know how to bring the message across. So yes, you've got to have a bit of psychological background, you've got to have a bit of corporate background, and education and qualifications go a long way. And you need to be able to deal with people, think out of the box, think on your feet, and if you feel you've got a gift, you've got a tremendous intuitive gift, you can help people and do what I'm trying to do, helping our nation.
Absolutely.
I hope that helped her.
I hope it helped you, Tuli. Thank you very much for that. Let's take a listen to the next person.
Matter now that one Burki died, now they think the whole of South Africa must come to a standstill because of one Burki died. One Burki died. So our parents and grandparents died fighting for this, and now just because one little Burki thing died, now they think we must, like, this whole South Africa must stand still. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Now they must feel what we felt. Now the shoe's on the other foot. I guess that's how life is. What happens on the right hand side must happen on the left hand side. It's life, cycle of life. That's just how it is. I'm Zimata Sibeko from Pretoria.
Sure. All right. I'm not sure if you...
I think you must answer that.
Okay. So, look, very powerful, very interesting. I could feel and sense a lot of hate that is still within her.
Yes.
I went onto Facebook and I posted that I'm up against the killings that are happening with the farms, and myself got attacked quite heavily.
Yes.
Because the campaign, I mean, if you look at the campaign organizers, they mentioned that people should not bring old flags and all of that. And the campaign turned ugly, actually. It was not the intention from the organizers because of the killings. And simply because of, having to look at food shortages and poverty in our country, and knowing that the farmers are shrinking in numbers, and many of them having to leave South Africa because of them not feeling safe and the food prices. And I got attacked. And so, I got called all sorts of names because I said I was up against the violence against farmers. And then black people started saying, but yeah, what about black people who are being killed on the farms? And of course they've got the right to ask that, but that was not the issue. The issue was, here are people, because we've seen so many marches, we've seen communities from all different backgrounds. They've marched. They've even marched, for the first time we saw white people march.
I'm still breathing, I'm still breathing.